Just remind you, being recorded. You've got one person on, so they know as well, they're being recorded from. And I just want to welcome everybody, you two, to the Board of Zoning Appeals. This time, I'm going to stand and
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Eric, you want to have a roll call?
Andrew Melton,
Present.
Andrew Strati, is that pronounced it right?
Yep.
Aaron McManaway,
Present.
John Christ is here. And also noted that our building commissioner, Steve Gorski, is here. And our phone is absent.
First of all, I just want to welcome Mr. Stratty here to our planning commission. BZA. I miss him. He's been on the planning commission for a long time. Big asset planning commission. But I'm sure he's gonna be as important here as far as the other field. Thank you. Everybody's had a chance to look at the January 18th minutes. To do, what they will, a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to be approved in January 18 minutes. Second.
First and second. All in favor? Approve by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. All right. On the agenda tonight, we've got 3 petitions, but case number 2023 B21 on Coolidge Street and case number 2023 B22 on Coolidge Court. Both of those, there's nobody here to represent it, so I'll entertain a motion to table this till March 21st. Excellent.
Make a motion to release. Table case 2023 B21 and 2023 B22 until the March 21st meeting. Second.
First and second, all approved, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed for any reason? All right, so moving on. Case number 2024-B01, 1394 East Shore Drive, Culver. Petition been filed, now that you gotta read that, but already you got it and didn't present it.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Karen Planet. I'm an architect with RWA Architects in Cincinnati.
I'm sorry, you're
Karen Planet, Planet, with RWA Architects. And I'm here representing Craig and Mandy Skelton, who are the owners of 1394 East Shore Drive. Also with me today is Doug Berkey. He's a colleague of mine and an architect also with RWA. Doug Berkey.
Doug Berkey. You spell that, please? Burkey.
So we're here today for Craig and Mandy Skelton, who are requesting a variance to construct a new modest covered porch on the lake side of their existing residence. The front of the residence faces the west towards the lake. And one of the issues they found is that the existing windows, doors, interior spaces, and exterior patio currently have no protection from the harsh sun and rain with that exposure. We looked into the property records, and the construction of the house started in about 2018 with the removal of an existing residence. The previous property owners did receive a zoning variance to reduce the north side yard setbacks to 5.1 feet and the south side yard setbacks to 5 feet. Per case 2018-003B. The existing house was designed and built by the previous owners of the property and didn't really take into consideration the west facing environmental conditions. In May of 2022, after the house was complete, Craig and Mandy purchased the property. So they weren't involved in the design or construction of the house, just the purchase of it in 2022. The property is located in the L1 district. It's a lakefront property. Our proposal for this covered porch, does not require a variance for the 25-foot setback from the lake on the west side. Which is in the code. We're not requesting for any relief from the lake view easement. And we also are not requesting any variance for the 50% maximum impervious area requirements. So even with our adjustments, we're going to reduce the size of that existing patio to make sure we stay within that 50%. But because of the unique nature of the lot and the practical difficulties that creates, we are requesting 2 variances to allow for the covered porch. The first variance is to reduce the north side yard setback to 4.3 feet at the E, but the column's going to be about 6.6 feet from that setback at the northwest corner of the porch. And then it varies to 7.58 feet at the E at the northeast corner of the porch to allow the eave on the new porch to line with the eave of the existing house. So our roof eave will line up with it, but will not extend further than that one on the existing house. So our request is about 0.8 feet greater than what the 2018 BZA approved for the north side yard setback at that northwest corner. And it conforms to the previously approved 5.1 setback at the northeast corner of the porch. The property line there sort of tapers, which is part of why that number varies for our setback.
And where we're at grade, we are within the 5.1.
Right, where the column is and where the patio is. Just to give you some reference, the neighbor to the north of their property, their existing house has an eave that varies from 1.2 feet to 1.6 feet from the property line on the adjacent side. So we look at it, the proposed setbacks for our new covered porch are about 3 times the distance of what the neighbor's eaves are to their property line, just for reference. And then just to reinforce that porch column is 6.6 feet from the property line, which is really what you're at the ground level that you would have. The second variance, so that's the first variance, is a side yard setback variance. The second variance is to a reduction in the 25-foot setback from the high water mark. So the high water mark you can see on the diagram we provided, actually, the 25-foot setback from the high water mark crosses through the building itself. So there's a line that's a setback, or is the actual high water mark contour, and then that one's the setback. You can follow that on the diagram.
This line right here.
It's a setback.
25 feet.
That's the setback.
That's the setback.
That's 25 feet from the high water mark, which is
High water mark.
is in front of the porch.
So that's what we mean by this is very unique site, because it's really low.
So in the zoning code, there's 2 requirements: 25 feet from the lake front property line, which we're well behind, and then there's 25 feet from that elevation. It has to do with the elevation of the grade, is what determines what that line happens to be. So
No, follow that.
sure, I can look it up with the diagram.
Yeah, if you would.
Sure. Okay. fine.
Page 24.
So this is the confusing part here.
Yeah.
So this is 25
Bank.
feet back from the lake.
Okay.
So we're behind that. And then that's your view easement line. We're behind that. And then this line is based on the 735.48 feet, which is an elevation of the lawn.
Okay, you're talking.
And then you have to go 25 feet back from that, and that's where this line ends up.
So that's what we're actually
We're asking
requesting.
for a variance to make this distance less than what's required. The distance between those 2 lines. So the proposed porch is fully, behind that grade elevation requirement. It's just the distance from there to the porch is less than 25 feet.
And the existing house is part of the existing house is already past
Past
the
that,
25-foot high water mark setback.
correct.
That is correct.
That would have, sorry, that would have been 2018 BZA.
That would have been part of that. It's also possible that the grading, when they when they set that house, maybe they set it a little lower or they regraded and created, they pushed that grade elevation further back into the lot when they built that house. Yeah,
We don't know. We're
we don't know, we're
speculating.
speculating on
We
that.
can speculate on that. either.
Right,
Correct.
right,
It's the current owners purchased the property May 22.
That's
exactly. After the whole house was complete, and that front patio, existing patio was already in when they purchased the house.
Oh, okay.
So all that existing conditions were there.
And there are pictures with the existing one where they want it, they laid it out.
So to try to,
Those are the eaves on the drone overhead shot. Those are the eaves.
and then
Those
the
aren't where
four
it's.
columns are like 2 feet in from that.
Then that's the view easement. We pulled that tape measure across. That's the view easement to show that we're back from that.
So to add more numbers to this, sorry.
Oh, that's right.
The request for the second variance is to reduce the 25-foot setback from the high water mark setback line to 15.48 feet at the southwest corner of the porch eave. Okay, it's on the that dimension should be on the diagram. Yeah. So 15.48 feet instead of 25. And 5.53 at the northwest corner of the porch instead of the 25. We picked the two corners. It varies as it goes across. And as that contour line sort of zigzags across the site.
Yeah, I see there. Right.
Does that make sense, to everybody? Okay. So the, those are our two requests for variances. So I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the unique qualities and practical difficulties of that site. That create these practical difficulties that led our owners to request these variances. So the topography of the site, we kind of drove around the whole lake today. It's not really typical of most of the lots around the lake. This site is a lot lower to the lake elevation. There's some houses that are that, but most of the
There's a
houses are
handful on either side of that 18th Street boat ramp
That are
there
kind of
that are low like
low.
that, but the rest of the lake is higher.
So the flatness of that elevation on the lot creates some practical difficulties to conform to that 25-foot setback from an grade elevation. And then the other item to note is that we were able to design a porch within that view easement setback, but the buildable area of that property did get reduced when the neighbor to the north removed, they had a raised deck, and they just recently did a renovation project to remove that deck, the raised structure. So with that removal, the view easement line angled back further. So it increased the difficulties of trying to site that porch within the triangle that we have left. When you connect those, the furthest point on the two adjacent properties. You might also note that the house to the, if you think about, if you're concerned at all about the view of this porch, is the house on the, to the south has an existing landscape hedge that extends well beyond the view easement line already. Our porch would be behind where that hedge extends.
We're asking for an open porch that has a lot of transparency anyway.
Yeah. So I think it's it's important to note that there's a lot of unique conditions on this lot. And the proposed porch would be further back from the lake than the front of the house that's on the property to the north of them. And it'd be further back than the edge of the hedge and the property to the south. So I know there's a lot of numbers kind of thrown out there, a lot of diagrams. I tried to explain this, but it's kind of our opinion that the porch that we've drawn won't negatively impact the community. We think it's similar. We tried to make it similar in character to other porches that are existing on the lakeside properties. The adjacent properties, in our opinion, won't be substantially adversely impacted by having this open porch addition. I think we've also tried to design this porch as I kind of step through this with asking for as few a variance as possible, trying to stay within the view easement, trying to prioritize the, as many of the setback requirements as we could. But to keep it, we made it it's a small, like, we feel like it's as small in depth as it can be to still be usable as a porch. So, I think, I'm open to any questions or clarifications.
How much is this gonna change the pervious and impervious?
Well, we
The
will.
previous, the 2018, they were almost right at the 50%. And we're reducing that by a small fraction, but we are making it more pervious. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, my English.
Well,
Is this?
We're making it better.
we're removing that.
Part of the
Yeah.
porch is.
Yeah, we're taking sort of that paved area and pulling it back to the porch.
So it'll be.
Back where you got the line.
Correct.
Yeah, so we're kind of like reorganized, and then that'll turn back into grass, that area that's, got the pavers now.
The current lower patio doesn't extend further than these pavers though.
It'll be,
Yeah,
right.
the-
It'll be in here, and then this area will be allocated over. So yeah, we'll be under that 50, we will be under that
This
50.
area here and here that goes away, removed.
Correct.
So that's how much more. That you.
Well,
To the,
there'll be a lower patio there at the
But
end.
not to
so it'll
the.
add more to the pervious.
So if we look at the overhead that you
Yes.
got here, where it's marked out with tape, the orange tape, that will be the covered patio.
That'll be the E.
The eve line of the.
of the
Okay,
covered
all
patio.
right, and then the pavers that are immediately to the south,
Will be at grade.
those will basically remain.
Yeah, a
And then-
portion of it, yes.
And then
If you,
a portion of it,
if you look at this diagram, this portion here,
I don't know which diagram.
you've got this diagram.
Uh-huh,
So that covered patio is through here. A portion of it up here will remain low.
yeah, I'm pretty familiar with the property.
Yeah.
Okay,
I worked for the builder.
that build it, okay.
Yeah.
You might know, have more information than we could find.
Yeah, yeah.
Part of the patio.
I think I was on the house.
So the west is being removed. That is.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, so,
This one showed.
Yeah. I actually worked on the house that was replaced by this.
Okay, the previous one to this one, okay.
so then all of the pavers that are west of this line here will be removed, and that will be grass.
Correct.
And so
Okay.
that corner there, it's,
I have a question. So this is gonna be elevated?
The portion under the patio will be elevated, but the portion that is at the south end, once you get past where the roof overhang is, will be at grade.
Okay,
but
what you said it's gonna be raised, is it gonna be raised to be equal to the height of the third step coming out of?
It'll equal to there's an existing set of steps that come out of the house,
Yeah,
and
right.
it's basically level with it's basically level with the floor, finished floor. So the patio would be at that elevation.
Okay,
but the patio,
and what is the height of that to,
21 inches to grade,
okay,
so that you can step directly out of the house onto that top portion, and then there'll be steps to come down.
will those? Okay, so if it's gonna be 21 inches from grade,
There'll be 3 7-inch steps.
all the way around?
Here at the edge and here.
is that gonna be a core foundation
Oh.
for the patio?
Do I have,
Patio.
Yeah, they're the last, probably the last.
Yeah, how's that gonna be?
Okay.
Gonna have
This-
support from the
It'll
ground.
be concrete.
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 It'll be a footing.
There's two
underneath that.
pictures, one
I see it.
one with and one without. The current state.
The fence that's there,
Yes,
the one that runs parallel to the current property,
yes.
that's your fence.
On the, yeah, to the, on
On
the
the
north
north.
side, yes,
Okay.
that's existing.
The one that then,
The hedge line on the south,
I'm still asking about the north side here.
Yeah.
oh, sorry,
The one that goes diagonal from here, that appears to be parallel to the neighbors to the north, is that your fence or their fence?
it's the Skelton's fence.
Correct,
Yes,
and it's on the property line.
yes,
Property.
basically on
Okay,
the
so
property.
The property line turns.
It, yeah,
Well,
I'm aware of
it's
that.
with-
It comes, it cuts up right to the neighbors. Looks like they've got some sort of gravel or walkway or something, kind of, yeah, gravel.
The fence is just within the Skelton's property.
Okay,
It's basically right, it parallels, you get, on this diagram,
I don't remember that fence, but,
okay,
on
this
I know
diagram.
the neighbors just are in the process of finishing.
Finishing a renovation, yes.
Well, I have a problem with that front yard variance. Just for the fact that it's already over the high water mark. And to get a variance for the high water mark that wasn't done prior to now, not done when it was built. And I have a problem with even having another variance done for this. That's making it more non-conforming than it already is as far as the.
If we were to, if you could, and I don't know the proper way to say this. If we could grant this as a move forward. And with our construction. We can alter the grading during our construction to bring our grade up. So that we are in compliance with the current high water mark requirements. I don't know if that would require a variance at this time.
We're
Did we
talking about
agree to fix it?
less than 6 inches
Yeah,
of difference to be, so if you see
have-
on your diagram, the dotted line, that's
Right.
735,
Right.
we're 25 feet back from that,
Yeah,
and that's only 6 inches below this high water mark.
so
Contour.
during, with our construction, we could alter the grades. To make sure that then, when we're finished with this project, we are
It would be in
within
compliance.
code compliance of that requirement. If you're okay with us agreeing to do that, but
that's
we get
changing
started.
the grade when you have an established grade when it was built. And we don't know how that.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
like the,
And
This is kind of a complicated situation.
Correct,
I realize
correct. correct.
Health part and, on our job as well. I like to address the building commissioner for the things that you've looked up and recommend or just information to share with the official board.
I think pretty much everything's came out with it being elevated, the lower. So just to address the elevation, so the south side of that's gonna be 7 inches, if I read that correctly in the application, and the rest of it will be like 21 inches, but that includes. What you're asking also includes the steps coming off of it. So I think the house was, you already heard the variance was granted in 2018. After that, the house was built. As far as I can tell, the house was done in 2018 or right around there. I went and looked up the variance from 2018. I think it was May of 2018 when the variance was granted.
At that time, a variance for the high water mark.
The first meeting they had, the BZA was not happy with the variance request, so they came back the next month with a different variance request, and that's when it passed. That was the first variance in 2018 it passed. Then the house was built.
Sure.
No, there was no variances that I saw that were granted for the high water mark.
And there was an existing house.
If it was happening today, I wouldn't have allowed it to be put where it's
Right.
at.
I mean, under our ordinances, the reason for the high water mark is to protect the lake. You know, and so we build more closer, then it's more damage possible, whatever. But to be, the lake would be the result. Not saying, God forbid anything happened or whatever, but, I know myself, I would never agree to a variance that would be over the high water mark. And if I agreed on this one, I'm doing the same thing that I wouldn't do. The other issue I have is your setbacks that you want for the side yard setbacks. You're extending the existing variance that was for the house or more than what, remember, you're extending the non-conforming building and increasing the non-conformity on the side as well. So. Austin, do you have anything else?
Well, I guess the way I view it is if the BZA in 2018 allowed for a variance, then to me, that seems like that's the new standard. So, I don't think we can say that what was done in 2018 is wrong. If it was done, it was granted. And so I feel like that's a non-issue. I understand, I think I understand the high water mark. But just maybe from a new person's eyes, I see what's taking place here is that part of that existing patio, which is closer to the lake, is actually going to be removed. So I see it as that you're getting a structure that's actually going to be further from the lake. Now I understand, the eve, the 4.3, 6'6" from the column, side yard setback. But when I take a look at the structure or the layout of the lot, again, it's like, it doesn't have the 10-foot setback. So I'm having a hard time seeing why I wouldn't vote. Well, I don't know if I should be saying that. I guess I don't see a problem with what's being requested.
Any correspondence from any neighbors?
Yeah, one that too.
Had one neighbor ask questions, and that one person stated they had no comments for the BZA hearing.
Person online, do they have anything?
Does this person online have anything? Not hearing anything, so.
In the past, we've had a problem with granting variances like side yard setback, as an example. And then somebody come back up and thinking that that variance extended on down, but you are asking for the variance to be as well for this part here,
Specific for the porch.
specific for
For the open covered porch.
Open porch. I think they would be willing to regrade that front yard to, I think, we're only talking about less than 6 inches. So that at the end of the project, that site would be in conformance. I realize that you go from existing grade at the time of the project. But I think it was created sometime between the tear down and the new house. What is the original grade?
That grade presently is significantly different than it was during construction.
When the house was,
It got lower.
Yes.
I can believe that.
Those 3 steps that are currently there out of the center,
Mm-hmm.
there was not that much of a drop. I'm assuming those will probably be between 7 and 8 inch rise on each.
Seven, no more than seven.
No more than 7, so you're 21 inches.
And if we were to,
It was maybe 8 inches.
so the original grade was higher
Yeah.
on the lake
They lowered it
side.
now.
I'm
I
sure.
mean,
that
I know that as you approach the house from the lakeside, that, once you got within a few feet, there was a pretty steep drop there.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So I know it was lowered as you went away from the house to accommodate those steps there.
That's a condition our owners, yeah,
They didn't have any
and we're trying to remedy.
So you could raise it another 6 inches then.
We could, and yeah, we can
It
get
would-
that part there.
what it would do is it would, so that lower part of the patio at the south would then be level with the lawn, and there'd only be 2 steps down.
We
from the-
change that to 2 risers instead of 3.
So it would be less.
How does that compare to the neighbors next door on either side? If they raise the grade there, how does it affect the neighbors on either side?
It's very comparable. The one to the north looks like it may be.
So north and south, because the neighbors are there. If it goes above theirs, then it could cause some sheet runoff into their
It does
properties.
on the north side, it looks like we would almost be leveling up with their property to the north. The south, there would need to definitely be some swale considered. We can't raise our grade up all the way to their property line, because no, then that would potentially cause some issues, and we do not want to do that.
What would those issues be?
Any runoff that would be on the south property, we don't want to divert that to the neighboring property. We don't want to
Since
put
you got a
more,
narrow-
We'll make sure that it,
Yeah.
we aren't going to put more runoff off of our property. That is generally speaking, but no.
Is the lower patio that's uncovered, is that currently cantilevered? It's kind of hard to tell from the rendering this here.
it would be like a slab on grade. It's not cantilevered.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the shade of the tree.
Trees, making it look,
Kind
yeah,
of tells me.
Slab on grade.
it would be slab on grade and it would be like that 7-inch step off unless we raise the grade, which we're
Okay.
fine with, and then it'd be basically level like the existing areas.
So if you did raise the grade by 6 inches, that would be one step down to that side.
From that lowest part, it'd be basically level.
It wouldn't need a step.
You wouldn't need a step.
over.
And from the porch, you'd only come down 2 steps instead of 3. It's fine.
And I don't remember the current 3 steps that are there. Are those stone or is that poured?
It's,
Stone and
it's got,
concrete.
pavers on it.
Okay, it's pavers.
This wouldn't be, we would put, I want pavers, not just.
So you're gonna have to pour footings for the posts for the roof.
Right.
Absolutely.
Basically, that's talking about a structure being forward under the slab. Right.
So I'm new and I'm just gonna use that as an excuse, and if this is a silly question, then so be it, but
There are no other questions.
could somebody explain to me what's the purpose of a high water mark?
The high water mark is it the 100-year? Or figuring on 100-year flooding, whatever.
Okay.
That's how far it's been in the past and.
Okay, so
100 years.
over time, you could say that the lake water had been up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so at that point. Thanks.
Yeah.
I didn't want to assume anything.
Yeah.
Thought of something like that, but
I want to give you a little history of the high water.
Okay.
Okay, our property's been in my wife's family's hands and our hands for 70 years. And we had a poured concrete seawall that her grandfather put in. And her father marked 1980, where the water came up within an inch or 2 of the top of the seawall. That is probably 7 or 8 feet from the shore, from the bottom. Right there. So, currently for the last 25 years that I can remember, the water has not been anywhere within 4 feet of that mark. At least 4 feet less below that mark. And currently, I would say it's probably 5 to 5.5 feet. So, and that part of that is due to the not a dam that they have,
That spillway, whatever.
the spillway over into Lost Lake.
I think it's important to note here too, is that, the addition that we're putting on or asking to put on this house is all covered exterior porch. So there's no finishes or hazardous materials or anything like that that we're asking to put anywhere close, though, Barry, you said it's about protecting the lake and protecting the water. That is admirable and it is very important. We're putting concrete and stone. We're asking to put that out there in that. So if, God forbid, we got to that 100-year flood, anything that water that comes up there that would theoretically touch this, we have solid, dense materials that would be no different than a seawall getting touched. So anything that we do here is not going to have a detrimental effect to the lake, even in that extreme condition. So I don't think that we're really making a huge ask here for what we're trying to put out at this porch.
Also guess if we had that 100-year flood, it wouldn't matter because in the southwest corner of the house, looks like there's a considerable amount of that house is within that.
25 yards.
And
25
and
setback, right?
it's on a crawl space, a poured crawl space, but that crawl space is only maybe 3 feet.
Believe me, I've crawled all the way to the back of it. It's low. Might be being generous.
I didn't.
And
I've been in that situation.
It's not a smooth slab that you're crawling on, so you feel it.
so, I don't know how they would keep the water from getting up through the floor. Because if it was that much, there's no pumps will hit.
The water, I don't think the water would get up to the finish level of the floor in any circumstance, because it is up against the top of the foundation would still be about 8 inches above that.
Okay.
But, the high water mark could be engaging the house. And
Well,
that's the existing condition.
If the high water mark elevation is the flood elevation, the house is also higher than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the the bottom of the columns would be higher.
Higher than that.
Higher than
It's-
the.
The only thing that
water
we would be
elevation.
touching would be concrete.
Yeah, which I think would keep it out of the cross state, unless it went beyond that 100-year,
I think you have to get to a really
really bad.
bigger flood event, and then
Yeah.
the whole lake has some other residents have some problems.
Well, if it did, it was gonna get to a lot of
It's
houses.
gonna get to a lot, that's what I mean, it's gonna get to a lot of houses. Any other questions?
So- Changing the grade 6 inches would,
Allows to be within 25 feet of the high water mark.
correct.
That'd be reducing the non-conformity as far as the high water.
Yeah.
Correct.
That would be on the south side or north side.
we raised the grade on the west side, the lake side. So that the house would then, the house and
Here,
the,
it looks like this little corner right here.
yeah,
Okay. But they raised the grade 6 inches. This area here.
Yeah.
Would be above it, then, by raising it 6 inches. And that's the only area.
Yeah.
Of the high water mark. See right there? Then this is the 25-foot setback from this one. I want to mark, and this is what I was.
Yeah. Where's that? Here. That's very inside, right?
Yeah, but if they're gonna raise the grade,
Raise the grade.
that. Well, this is the 25-foot, this is the 25-foot.
Okay.
This is the high water mark. So raising it, the grade up 6 inches would take this out of that. It wouldn't impact this because this is a setback from this line. And they can't, nothing can be done about changing that line.
Now, just keep in mind that the south side is one you can't,
We have to be.
you have to be very careful with that.
Their seawall, the top of the seawall for the south property is the high water mark. The survey has that pegged as the high water mark. And then their grade goes down a little bit. So we can't bring our whole thing up because then they would be the lowest. We need to keep a swale to the south side to drain all water that is currently at an elevation that's probably just 2 or 3 inches below the high water mark.
There's not a lot of room on that south side for a swale.
And there's not.
Do you have 5, say call 5 feet
I
there?
don't think it's impossible, but I do believe.
You
yes.
might be able to put some drainage tubes in.
Oh, I think we do that as well, but we don't like to rely on that over time. If those fail, you need to have like an emergency of a on grade overflow. Because gravity doesn't fail.
I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm very concerned about raising grades. I've seen that go bad.
Yes.
They're taking advantage of it and end up doing more harm to neighbors.
That's where.
it sounds like
We
the
do not
site
want-
was higher than before.
But it is where it is now, and that's where the neighbors, have been living with it now.
Yes. Steve, you're correct, is that we want to make sure that we're not doing anything that is all at all detrimental to either of the neighboring
And
properties.
if you could get a swale in there where it would drain to avoid anything going to the south property.
I believe that is possible based on my observations of the site the 4 times that I've been. to this site.
Because it'd pretty much have to be, it's a have to be.
Yeah,
So in other words, that swale would then, water runoff would run towards the lake without going over to the property owner.
correct.
Correct.
Like at the property line, we need to come in a little ways and then go back up and then get to where we're meeting all of the watermark issues.
How are you gonna deal with, roof runoff?
That would be tying back to the
The dam.
original system, which I do believe go back into it and are pumped with the
Or
sump
pipe.
pumps.
Underground.
Yeah, okay. I don't think
So
we're
at least,
adding enough.
at least that,
That portion of that. will-
that's addressed.
And that actually would probably make the existing conditions better because that impervious right now is running straight to the lake. And that would come back to the.
You know, before 2018, would this have been considered a non-conforming lot?
You want?
Would this have been a non-conforming lot before 2018?
No.
No.
Well, yes, yes, it would.
I'd have to look how many square feet the lot is and what the road width is. Unless you have that on here.
It's only 49 foot
Why?
wide, so it's not.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it.
That's pretty
Conforming's
narrow.
100, isn't it? L1. Conforming is 100.
75 or 100.
I got 75 and I'm not conforming.
Not only because of width or length.
I'm conforming the way.
Well, it's a matter of square
I
feet.
see a book.
Well, but supposed to be what, 21,780 square feet?
21,780.
So it could be minimum lot width is 75 feet.
It is?
It's on a public sewer.
Okay.
What?
It's 75 feet minimum lot width.
Yeah,
I know.
well,
Because they're doing observatory districts for the sewage. And since that's on public sewer, it's 75 feet.
Because it's in the conservancy district?
right.
Because they don't have septic, they have sewer.
Was it Mirar that built the house?
If they had septic, it's 80 feet.
There's a reason why I said mine was not conforming, because at the time it was built, conservancy district was not in.
Oh, right, too. Yeah.
It needed to be 80.
So.
Steve, you're the one that established grade. This has probably never been addressed before, has it?
It has not. People have changed grade, and I can think of one case in town where
That they did
Yeah.
change grade.
it was a house in town.
Yep.
And they changed grade. And they changed it significantly, and they're uphill from their neighbor already.
They added to the height so they could do a walkout on the back side, whatever you want to call it, but till it was done, nobody even checked it. It wasn't our building commission, believe me. But I guess my question is, are you all right with that as far as establishing grade? Do you think you're setting some kind of precedence over a non-established grade or whatever it be called?
I honestly, I'm always gonna have concerns when somebody's gonna raise the grade, how it affects the neighbors. It's just always gonna be a concern I have. Since I've seen it go wrong.
I've seen.
Always been my understanding in my time on building commissions that it was that there's no such thing as precedent. Everything is reviewed on a case-by-case basis.
Right,
You're absolutely correct. That's what statute says.
people is what,
People want to believe that, that is not true.
but I don't want to set a standard by no means, even, I mean, the BZA does not set standards.
Right.
But at the same time, if it was to be appealed and somebody came back and says, well, this house was done that way, that house was allowed to do this, and go to the court, I don't know how it's going to be ruled. In that case, I mean, if I'm wrong,
From what I understand from our attorneys, there's case law that's happened.
This is where we fall back to, this is such a unique lot because it's just, there's not many lots on this like that are this low.
And it's not a
Right.
significant
I
amount.
mean, there's
of
others that people went lower and more, have to raise them up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
and 6 inches, less than 6
Yeah.
inches is not a.
I mean, it's a beautiful house. I love that house, but. I mean, I'd have to say right now, I just can't get myself to approve, even raising the level, trying to make it right, or approving the variance. Okay, so late, then.
Well, if I may suggest, if everybody's done with their comments, let's move to findings of fact.
Anything? I don't have any findings.
So it should be the last paper in the pile.
Thank you. Went through all the paper. Finding facts, we have three things to agree or disagree with. If you disagree on any of the three, then you'll have to vote no on the four. I'll start out with general welfare. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. We'll go around since it's being recorded. Mr. Muffin,
Agreed.
Mr. Shreddy,
Agreed.
Chair agrees, and Mr. Chris.
Disagree.
Number two, Jason property.
Can I ask a quick question? Am I allowed to speak here or? No.
No,
Okay.
not until we're done here.
Okay.
I mean, I will address you.
Okay.
The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. There's nothing.
Agreed. Agreed.
I disagree.
I also disagree.
Practical difficulty. The strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. The situation shall not be self-imposed nor be based on a perceived reduction of restriction on economic gain. Mr. Melton,
Disagree.
Mr. Shreddy,
Agreed.
Chair disagrees.
I disagree.
Now, since you already know that anybody disagreed, would be a vote no on this. And so I give you, you can comment if you want to first, but you have the option to withdraw it for
Yeah.
now.
We have the option to table it.
You can request table, we're just tabling this, but if you want to go back and try and change it, whatever you want to, you can,
Okay.
no, yeah.
If we withdraw, we need to make a significant change to anything that we're requesting.
Yeah, if you withdraw, you start over again.
But you're just, have to put on an application for variance for whatever you want to read it. If you
What's the
table
difference? Yeah.
Then you come back and review it on the next meeting or whenever you want to. But
Within reason.
Facts haven't changed.
within reason, yeah.
But the facts haven't changed.
Hmm.
But the facts haven't changed when we bring it back to review. I mean, can we bring it back to review with any potential design changes? I don't see how design changes can happen on this lot
Right.
with the elevation that's given on this. There's nothing, I mean, you're basically saying there's no addition that can happen to the west side of this lot.
I'm saying this can't. Is all I can
As it's,
say.
as it's drawn,
There you
if
go, yeah.
we come up with additional information or a revision to the,
Yeah,
you would review it again if we.
We would like to request a withdrawal.
so
I would. Okay, I think,
If we table it, we have the opportunity to try to, in any way we can to make
Okay.
it more conforming.
I'll defer to Karen here. We would like to
We
make.
could, if we table it now, we could always withdraw it, right? Right.
Yeah.
So let's table it
Let's table it.
and we can see.
Because if we voted on it, it'd be a year before you get back.
Oh, yeah, we understand that part, yeah.
Let's table it and we'll put our best thoughts and see if there's anything we can do to make it more conforming and.
Let's make a motion to table, correct?
Right.
It'd be on a specific date when you're gonna meet again.
And the request of
The time for the March.
would March be good or
March is,
March need more time or? I mean, it's up to you.
March is plenty of time.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we table case 2024 B01 to the March 21st meeting.
Second.
Third, second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Appreciate it very much. Yeah, I'm sorry, you wrote too much.
Do you have any new drawings, things you want to send me to prepare for them for questions? Yeah, let me know. I see that.
No, it's not excellent. Can't give it to you.
We won't even turn in final back because.
No.
All right, moving on.
It was
New
question
business?
3.
Hmm?
Question 3 or 2, typo.
Question 3. Question 3. The second line, based is misspelled.
Yeah.
He's gonna correct that.
We'll have the county correct it. It's on the county software.
Any new business? Do I have any with your report?
I don't have a report prepared yet. When I do, I'll send it to this group. I'll send it to you, I'll email. It'll be the same report that I'll present to the town council next week.
Next meeting will be at 6:30 PM, Thursday, March 21st, 2024. I want to again thank Mr. Stratty for coming to the BZA, joining us here. You're gonna find out now that it's more work here, enjoy that.
Yeah. Definitely different than the plan.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
What did you say about that new business and your report?
I'll email my report. I don't have it prepared. I'll email it to members of this board.
We don't have citizens input, but we can use it if the person online has anything they want to say.
I'm not saying anything.
And
We adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
First time, in a long time, I've hit that.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to stick around since now that we're off the record.
Off the record.
Well, he's still recording.